You're live. What's up, everyone? That's me. I'm live. Well, some stuff to talk about. It's after I got home. News always breaks when I'm on the train. Everybody knows this. Actually, I don't think I was on the train. I think I was walking from the train to my apartment when Rodgers went on the radio and Cole Madison reported, or at least it was reported that Cole Madison reported. Hello, everybody. How are you? Aaron Rodgers coming in like QB1 that he is, laying waste. Mostly to Greg Jennings and Jermichael Finley, and a little bit to Ty Dunn. But, yeah, good times, good stuff. I mean, I jokingly said on Twitter, Cole Madison reporting is the bigger news because everything Rodgers was saying we expected him to say. But, you know, that's kind of true. I mean, I don't think anybody expected Rodgers to take that lying down. You know, boom. With Dorsey wanting to trade, see, I love Packers fans. They're like, forget all the drama. With Dorsey wanting to trade back into the first round, shall we send pick 30? It's a possibility. I wouldn't doubt it. 30 especially. Hold on. I got to send this tweet out. I got to get these tweets off. Speaking of tweets, by the way, Matt Leflour just hit send on his first tweet as Packers head coach. A picture of him addressing the troops, etc., saying, I'm proud of addressing these men, blah, blah, blah. Kentucky bourbon on deck. I wish. Just beverage, beer beverage tonight for the old Nagler. That's all. Could Madison be a tackle? Andy, he could be, potentially. When he was drafted last year, I remember we asked Gutekunst specifically about his position, and they indicated he would start at guard and he'd focus on guard, but that he could potentially swing out to tackle. That's something he did do in college. I would suspect, I don't know for sure, but I would suspect they will stick with that plan. They will start him at guard. With him in the fold and with Saragusa coming over from the Ravens last year, they poached him off the practice squad. You like the depth to play with there, but I still think offensive line is probably something they look at in the draft. That said, you feel a little bit better about depth there, or at least the possibility of depth. It's kind of like getting an extra draft pick, Madison coming on board. So that's nice. Nice. Do you think Jennings and Finley deserve the roasting they got? Julian, I'm only going to quote my good friend Clint Eastwood in the movie Unforgiven, which if you haven't seen, I don't understand why you're here. Go watch it right now. But if you have, you know what I'm about to say. Deserves got nothing to do with it. Is Madison having to earn trust being back in a deep hole? Matt, I don't think so. Because of the nature of what he was dealing with, at this point now it's been reported. I think Michael Cohen was the first one to write it. He was dealing with kind of the fallout, the emotional fallout of having his teammate commit suicide. I don't think there's anybody in the Packers organization that holds it against him. The idea of him waiting a year to join the team. I think, especially now that there's a new coaching staff in place, it's you come in day one, work your ass off, and do what's expected of you. I don't think anybody's going to hold anything against you. I think he will rise and fall as by what he accomplishes on the field. I don't think anything regarding the last year or so will have any kind of impact on his professional future. Show us the lampshade. There's no lampshade. Well, that's not true. There is a lamp. It's an old, but see, it's giving light right now. That's a different lampshade. That's not the old school lampshade of the Packers news days. That is in my old apartment, which I no longer reside in. Madison was like an early draft pick, kind of. Yeah, that's what I just said. I love you guys. I love my YouTube commenters. You guys are the best. Nice. Did you like Cole Madison's tape in college? I liked it. I didn't love it. I like his attitude. And that's what's so kind of disjointed. I remember when he got drafted, all the quotes coming off of his availability. Was really excited to, watch him kind of grow and get in the fold and mix it up and compete. And obviously none of that happened. But as a person, as a guy, he seemed really like to kind of get it. And I was excited to watch him as a member of the Packers. And now we're going to have that opportunity, just a year delayed. But as far as his tape in college, I think it's pretty, and this is true of most offensive linemen coming into the league right now. I think a lot of it was unrefined. I see why the Packers liked him. He's athletic as hell. He can get him on the move, as the Packers like to do, or did like to do under McCarthy. But yeah, we'll see what he brings to the table. John, the all caps will not help you, friend. Need a new camera, super blurry, always for extra cheese. Eric, because it's extra, buddy. Come on, buddy, get on board here. This is me on my own time, on my laptop. Now, hopefully I can upgrade with my phone here in a little bit. But you complaining about the graininess? Really? Really? This is where your life is at? Dude, I'm on my own time, drinking my own beer, talking to you fine folks, and you're going to complain about the graininess? Come on, dude. Come on. Oh, somebody texted me. Look at that. Nags, do you like Rodgers defending himself? I mean, I get, yes. I mean, I like that he's, he comes out swinging, so to speak. I didn't expect anything else. I don't think it's a question of like or dislike. I did like his point, the point that he made regarding, do you ever hear of Greg Jennings or Jermichael Finley if it's not associated with Aaron Rodgers? That's pretty damning. I mean, that's pretty tough. What jerseys do you own, Nagler? This sounds like a challenge. I'll tell you what, I don't own a jersey, except the one jersey I do own is an old school, like really cheap ass Favre jersey that I used to wear when I was in North Carolina School of the Arts and we would play on the quad on the weekends. And then when I first moved to the city, I wore it. And when I first started working at Bleacher Report, we would have flag football in the parks. I would wear that all the time. And that's the only one I still own. And I went through, back in the day, I think I had a Javon Walker jersey. And I think I know I had a Bubba Franks jersey. But man, jerseys, it's tough business. And Corey Banke will tell you this. Corey went through like a string of years where he would get jerseys for guys who would end up leaving the next year. Like, I think it would happen 3 years in a row. So, Favre is safe because he's an icon, whatever. But, it's hard to get attached to guys and wear jerseys. And also, I'm a 45-year-old man. Jerseys, not really my thing. Now, old school, I'd love to get a Bart Starr jersey. That would be hot. I just watched some Nasir Adderley tape. Wow, does he pop off the screen? Your thoughts? Colin, I agree. I actually talked to Andy Herman about him in the transplants episode that accompanies the Cheesehead TV draft guide. I think he would absolutely fit the bill for what the Packers need at free safety. I think they'd have to take some lumps. I do think he's a bit wild at times. I think he comes in out of control, takes not bad angles. I think he takes good angles, but sometimes he overruns things. But for the most part, yes, I would love for him to be an addition for the Packers in late April. Josh Jones, trash can emoji. I would beg to differ. I think Josh Jones gets a really bad rap from a lot of Packer fans. I don't think he's ever going to be a Pro Bowler. I don't think he's going to be even a regular starter for the next decade or anything, but I think he's a serviceable player, and I think he brings a lot to the table that gets dismissed. Now, can he be exposed in coverage? Does he struggle at times? Absolutely. Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Motorcycle Rider. But all of that said, I think he is still a hell of a hitter. He has really good instincts as far as, when he's up on the line of scrimmage and diagnosing plays initially, being able to arrive in a bad mood, so to speak. I think he's a good blitzer off the edge. He takes on offensive tackles with reckless abandon, which is what you want from a secondary member coming in. You got to be fearless, and I think Josh is that. Does he struggle? Like I said, in space with some athletes? Yes. I think the tape is there to tell you all that, and certainly television highlights that. But I think television doesn't highlight a lot of the good things he does. And I think it's the old adage of don't tell me what he can't do, tell me what he can do. And I think Mike Pettin started to figure out as the year went on how he could be employed. Now, obviously, he missed a lot of time due to injury, et cetera, but I think he's useful. And I don't think I'm going to sit here today and tell you, yes, they should absolutely be starting him opposite Adrian Amos, because I think that's probably not the case. But I just hate the idea of somebody, he's trash. I think that's so lazy and stupid. He's got value, and he can be utilized in a positive way. Will we see more hurry-up offense? That's a really good question, Benjamin. I'm interested to find that out myself. I mean, it's really hard to say with Leflour what any kind of offensive tendencies might be, just because we've got so little to go on as far as his history as a play caller. You know, like you look at his time in Tennessee, what did he have to work with? I mean, Mariota got hurt. Delaney Walker got hurt week 1 as his best target for his quarterback. And then he had a hindrance at quarterback and basically a running game to work with and not much else. I mean, I love Corey Davis as a prospect, but he's still got a ways to go. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. I hope so, because I think Rodgers could be really effective doing so. Let's see. It's disappointing how Jennings left Green Bay. He was a great player for the Packers. I would tend to agree, but, man, he's chosen his path, It's like, yeah, I tend to agree with your sentiment. It is kind of a shame. And I think eventually, like this, we were just talking on Twitter, I think eventually he will end up in the Packers Hall of Fame. And I know in light of today's occurrences, people, what? Really? Yeah, I do. You can't deny his contributions to the Packers, how great he was on the field, and how he helped a team win a championship. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. So, personalities aside, he was a great Packer, and as sad and as unfortunate as his leaving and his post-Packers career has been in regards to the Packers in Green Bay, I think ultimately there'll be a somewhat of a reconciliation. Do you think Aaron Jones will thrive in Lefleur's offense? Bach, I do, but I don't think you're ever going to see him as a workhorse back. I think you'll see a split akin to what we saw with Leflour when he was obviously he wasn't a play caller then, but what he was exposed to in his time in Atlanta. And I don't think anyone would mistake, Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams for the talent level they had while they were in Atlanta. But I think it could be similar as far as splitting the time. And the draft has yet to happen, and they could add talent there. Are we done with free agency, or do we sign someone after the draft? Philip, I would contend there's a possibility they sign someone before the draft. You never really know. Don't forget. And I know I've said Charles Woodson a lot in the lead up to this draft as far as examples of guys they signed prior to the draft. That Woodson was the week of the draft. But don't forget, Jari Evans was signed. That was, 2 off seasons ago? That was a couple days before the draft. So I don't think they're ever going to close off the idea and or possibility of signing someone, especially right before the draft, which helps you kind of shore up, places on your roster that are maybe a little bit, shallow depth-wise. And I think safety is definitely a possibility there. Plenty of free agents there on the safety market. But could they be before the draft? Could be after the draft? I think either one of those is possible, definitely. Wilkerson still sitting? Matt, yep, so far. And as of now, and Gunter from Arizona re-signed with Arizona this morning. So I think that would trend towards them looking at Wilkerson as a possibility. Now, that's something that I think will happen if it is going to happen after the draft, simply because of the fact that, he's got to be able to pass a physical. And the further away from that horrific ankle injury that he suffered in week 3 last year, The further away from that he is, the more chances are that he can pass that physical. So I think that's something where I think the fit works. Both sides have mentioned publicly that they are open to, him another round in Green Bay. And I can't imagine there are too many teams beating down the door to sign a guy who's coming off a bad injury, whose tape, frankly, didn't look fantastic those 2.5 weeks he, was out on the field last year. So, I don't think he'll be much more than a rotational player, but if the price is right, i.e. a veteran minimum with some incentives, I could see a reunion there, definitely. I love how Rodgers took the high road and told Green Bay fans to thank Mike McCarthy. I very much agree. Anybody who followed me for any amount of time knows that I have very much been a McCarthy defender, mostly because I think he gets an unfair rap publicly. Does he have his faults? No doubt. I've said many times I think he's the most stubborn coach I've ever seen and or met in my entire life. And that says a lot because there are a lot of stubborn coaches, both in the NFL and in football in general. I thought, again, it wasn't anything I didn't expect. It harkened back to when Rodgers won I believe it was his second MVP, and that was after McCarthy's brother had passed, and Rodgers got choked up at the dais there, or on the stage at the NFL honors when he was talking about Mike and everything they'd been through, etc. I think it gets played up a lot how much friction there was between the two of them, and I don't doubt there was, but I think the angle or the narrative of a mutual respect between the two gets lost a lot and doesn't get mentioned a whole bunch, even though I think it's pretty apparent that it's there. So yeah, I was appreciative of that as well. What selection at 12 would you be mad about? Honestly, a kicker or a punter. But that's about it. Outside of that, if Roger Goodell strides to the podium when they're on the clock and says the Nagler children have been drafted into the Army, that's about the only thing that could make me mad. But outside of that, I don't care. And that's not to diminish anything that our armed forces do. I love them all, but my 18, 11, and 13-year-old are not ready. Sorry. I think Ted was the problem, asleep at the wheel. Whew. A lot to unpack there, way more than I got time for right now. Suffice it to say, was Ted part of the problem? Yes. There were lots of parts. Everybody's need to blame one person or the other is misguided. There were a whole lot of parts at play. Do you think Bulaga will have a healthy season this year, considering it's his last year under contract? I mean, no. I don't think he'll ever get through a 16-game season again, just because your odds of betting that are much more in favor of him not making it through. I will say, though, that guy plays through more shit than anybody I have ever seen in my entire life. He's an absolute warrior. He's, at this point, it's that line from Return of the Jedi when Obi-Wan's talking about Darth Vader, and I'm not not prescribing the dark side to Bulaga, but just this bit of text when Obi-Wan says he's more machine now than man. It's like, dude, Bulaga is like held together by duct tape at this point. He's incredible. The stuff he plays through, he's an absolute warrior. And whenever he's on the field, regardless of what he's playing through, he plays at an extremely high level. Nothing but respect for Bulaga. Do I think he'll make it through 16 games? No. But when he's out there for 14 whatever, you'll get one of the best right tackles in the NFL. All right, everybody. I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. I can't believe how many people are here to watch me on my grainy laptop. Sorry the quality isn't up to snuff. Thanks so much, everyone. And, a long way to go yet this offseason. We got a long way to go to the draft yet. But I'll be on pretty much every day, hopefully this week and every week until the draft. Still working on who's going to be in attendance for our draft stream, but it's going to be fun. I promise you that. Thursday night, round one, it'll be myself, Corey, and a bunch of friends in the studio. Friday night, that second day of the draft, it'll be Andy Herman from Cheesehead TV and a bunch of his Draftnik pals breaking it down for you. And then on Saturday, I'll be at oh God, somebody's texting me. I'll be at Kettle of Fish in the Village here in New York City watching the draft live and drinking beer and talking Packers with whoever wants to show up. I'll also be going live and or shooting video whenever the Packers make a selection on that Saturday. So tons of stuff coming up for you for the draft. I'll be live here every day this week and leading up to the draft. Thanks a lot, everybody. You guys have a good night. And hey, please subscribe. Subscribe to Cheesehead TV. Tell your friends to subscribe to Cheesehead TV. Let's get those Cheesehead TV YouTube numbers up. I want 20,000 before the draft. That's where I'm at. I think I'm at like 8,000 now, maybe a little below. Come on, people. I'm sitting here 8 o'clock at night on my own time, drinking beer, talking to you fine folks. Tell your friends, hey, there's this crazy dude. Even if you don't like me, you give me a thumbs down on the video. I love all that. I love your opinion. I love the interaction. Bring it all. Just subscribe. That's all I ask. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.